Are nakshatras able to answer everything about us? Yes, nakshatras hide a plethora of information about us. They can talk to us about anything, our diseases, our relationships, our money, everything. Coming to relationships, when we are in a relationship with anybody, we want to have a great relationship. All of us are aiming for love, for affection in relationships. However, sometimes we feel cheated, sometimes we feel neglected, sometimes we feel that our partner is interested in someone else other than ourselves. Can it be seen from our chart or our partner's chart? Can the nakshatras give us that indication? Yes, nakshatras can give us that indication. And for that, we need to look into the nakshatras at various levels. Before I begin, let us see how the nakshatras can tell us about flirtatious nature of the spouse or ourselves. If we know these nature, what happens is that we have a sense of acceptance, or we are more careful about that. Especially when we have it within us in our chart, then we are more careful and we know where we have to compromise or where do we have to stop ourselves. So let's talk about the nature or the nakshatras which talk about flirting. But before that, I need to give you a disclaimer. I need to tell you something that you need to watch the end of this video also, where I have a very important discussion for you. Let's talk about the flirtatious nakshatras: Ashwini Nakshatra, Rohini Nakshatra, and Shravana Nakshatra. See, Ashwini people, they are very fast moving. They make associations very fast. They tend to help people very much. And they are very jovial, very naughty in nature. So that nature can come out as a flirtatious nature, and they love good things and good people. They love beauty. So they can have an eye for beauty, wherein they can have a flirtatious note in their voice, but they're very quick to come back to their senses if they are reprimanded or if they are told they are going the wrong. So this is something that we see in the Ashwini Nakshatras, and they can be checked at regular intervals. The Rohini Nakshatra also has an eye for beauty, has an eye for good things, and it has an eye for stability. But it also shows a lot of care, but it also shows eye for, as I said, beauty. So there are people who will look around, people who would also be attracted, and they also can attract others towards them. Others can also make a move towards them for with their flirtatious nature, or can make them to be pulled towards them. So that is something that you need to be aware of. Here a person can be pulled towards other by the other person's effort. And when we talk about the nakshatra of Shravana, it is Lord Vishnu's nakshatra, who is said to be very beautiful. Yes, in the real sense beautiful also, because of his Mohini avatar, and he is said to be the one who can pull others towards him. So, and because he has a very charming way of affecting people, he can charm lots of entities. That is why it is said that this nakshatra also brings in a lot of flirtatious nature. So I found that people who have this nakshatra are more flirtatious before marriage, but after marriage they are more of one man or one woman type of a person, but they are generally very charming, and so people are also attracted towards them. Now let's move towards a serious issue. We will see that there are certain nakshatras that promote infidelity. I repeat again, it's important to check it in many sources. You need to do the D9 checking. You need to see which planet is sitting there, in which house. All these things have to be checked before we can finally lay a finger on others and say that, this is not what I want in my partner. Don't make life miserable for yourself. So let me talk about this infidelity nakshatra here. And when I see the things in Kritika, for example, that I can give you is Tiger Woods. It will bring in an appetite for other people outside of marriage, and the person will have a liking for others, would be drawn to others, would be obsessed with others outside of marriage. That can create problems, infidelity issues in marriage. Then we come to Mrigasira. Shakti of the nakshatra of Mrigasira is Piranana Shakti, which means that a person is attracted, or should I say that the person is very much in wanting to give joy, wanting to experience adventure with others or for the self. So here what happens is, just for the sake of fun and play, just for the sake of adventure, a person can deviate from their normal life, because that adventurous nature is very strong within. They can move away, and then they can create a problem for themselves, they can create a problem for others. And let's now move on to Ashlesh Nakshatra. The Ashlesh Nakshatra is a nakshatra which is very sensuous in nature, just like the snakes, its deities. And so, what happens is that the person would have a very sensuous appeal. They would be automatically or unconsciously very attractive, and that can put them in positions in compromising situations, or where they can compromise others if they are obsessed by those others, irrespective of whether the person is already involved with somebody else or you are involved with somebody else. So that obsession for somebody else, if you have it, can be seen from this Ashlesh Nakshatra. Now, when we talk about Purva Falguni, we know that it is about expansion of your lineage, and there are many people who would want to. And how do you do that? With partners. So you can have multiple partners. In the olden age, the multiple partners bit was accepted. In fact, there were people who had that. Arjun, who of the Pandavas had the maximum number of marriages, is also known as Falguni, because he was born under this nakshatra. So you understand that all of our nakshatras are bringing in so much of qualities unconsciously or subconsciously in our character, in our mind. And then we also have Sanjay Dutt having his Venus in this nakshatra, and you know he's had multiple partners to a great extent. Then let's move on to Swati Nakshatra. Now, Swati Nakshatra is a nakshatra of Vayu Dev. We all know Vayu is cannot stay at one place. It moves and it needs that freedom. So when these people are in a relationship, they need a freedom. Wherever they want to go should be acceptable. But the general norms are not like that. People do not want to accept such things, and that is the reason where we fail, or we may not, be able to hold on to relationships, or we find infidelity an issue with the relationship, because the other person feels or does not feel anything wrong about moving from one person to another, whereas you might, or your spouse might have that issue. Now let's move on to the nakshatra of Vishakha. Vishakha means multiple, okay, choices. And again, it's the nakshatra of Lord Indra and also Agni Dev. So their charisma, their ability, their courage, their ability to initiate things which others can't, their leadership qualities can be an aphrodisiac in itself. They can attract so many people towards themselves. And by that virtue, by their leadership qualities, by their charisma, they become the center of attraction, and as a result they can have relationships outside of marriage, because they're in high positions, they're in positions of power, money, etc. Let's talk about nakshatra of Jeshth. In the Jeshth nakshatra, what we see is, being again the nakshatra of Indradev, it's all about Asura and Suransura. Sur means the divine, and Sura means the divine celestial apsaras. So here you see that there is a lot of relationship issues. Person can deviate, person can be addicted, a person can move in that direction, a person can have liking, a person can have a strong inclination towards such people. A relationship outside of marriage. Move to this disclaimer once again, that you need to check the chart in its entirety. When the number of such nakshatras is more, the probability increases. A stray nakshatra here and there may not give its own expression. When things have to happen in a big way in our life, there have to be a number of factors that have to affect it. Again, the D9 should be checked well. And in D1, you have to see which planets or which house lords are placed in this nakshatra. They can give you a good effect and the good reasoning. If the fifth lord is placed, yes, is a chance that your love life or the person whom you love can be into such things. But it could also happen that your child, because the fifth house and the fifth lord also represent your child, could have that nature. So be very cautious, be very wary before you kind of put a finger or show a finger to someone else. Before you make a move, read thoroughly, go through it thoroughly. Till we meet with you again, stay safe. थैंक यू। बेल आइकन को दबाएं ताकि आपको वीडियोस की अपडेट मिलती रहे। हमारे वीडियोस को लाइक करें, शेयर करें, उन पर कमेंट करें और हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना न भूलें।